Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into the Film Guy Network here on a beautiful Wednesday evening, live at 8 o'clock. It is our Wednesday edition of NBR. We got a couple of good hours for you right here. We're going to talk about Todd Hartley's electric. I don't get a lot of electric, coaches' press conferences from Georgia football coaches. Felt like we got one today. Going to be talking about that. Also felt like some of the words and the questions and the way that it was spoken about from Florida State's offensive coordinator and Coach Atkins. We're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the nuggets that he spoke about Georgia's defense that I want to bring to you today. We're going to be speaking about how every game matters. It might not matter to everyone, but every game matters to some. We're going to be talking about that tonight. Michael Williams, the Jack. Okay, we've been teasing it on this network. We've been telling you about it on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. It came to fruition today during the media day availabilities. More opt-outs for Florida State. We're going to bring on TJ Pittinger, our friend from the Florida State beat, at some point tonight. Just got done doing his show. We're going to do a little home and home action tonight. And, of course, we have practice observations for you as well today. And I'm not going to crap on the Orange Bowl, but I'm going to kind of come at the Orange Bowl just with a little bit of, not vitriol, but a little bit of shame, I know your name type allegations towards the Orange Bowl today. Or just me being petty, bitching, moaning, complaining. Sometimes we do on that show. Also going to play a random game of 4 topics. Okay, at some point, at any point tonight, all right, if I just hard stop and talk about crab cakes, a haircut, Wi-Fi, or the only reason I would ever move to a beach town, just bear with me. All right, just bear with me. We got a bunch of different things to talk about tonight, those included. All right, but I want to open tonight's show with my thoughts on Todd Hartley. Okay, I do also have something that I'm going to do tonight. A lot of Georgia fans wanted some attention today, so we're going to give them some attention today. And I'm going to save it for when the most amount of people are watching. And then we're just going to absolutely cook some people. So I want y'all to stick around for that one. That's going to be great. I want y'all to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. I want you to go ahead and like it. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Do all that support stuff because we finna cook. It's been ISO Joe territory. I know most of y'all are from Georgia. Okay, so y'all might not be Hawks fans, but the Hawks used to have this guy named Joe Johnson. They paid him a boatload of money, way too much damn money. All right, they did back in the day. But ISO Joe, as I called him, would have these games where some bitch would just clear out, say, I got the rock. He going to dribble it for 20 seconds of the 24-second shot clock, and he going to put up a shot. That's what we do on these ISO single shot camera shows. I just get to going. I have a boatload of notes. If you watched last night's show, I don't even think I looked at these damn things. I just went. I just cooked. I said, I called play number 1, which is ISO the big boy, and we went to work. All right, so that's what these ISO shows turn into. We're going to, split the duties a little bit with TJ tonight, but for the most part, we are going to be back into that ISO Joe territory. And, we're going to get to cooking tonight like this one right here. Todd Hartley had a very unique path to coaching college football. Probably one of the more unique paths you'll ever see. I don't know if you'll see it very much anymore. The non-traditional path of I'm going to become one of the best Power 5 position coaches in the sport, having never really played it at an elite level. If you look at Todd Hartley's career path, he basically, I don't know the originations of how he got to become a student assistant at the University of Georgia while he was a student at UGA, but he was a physical education major at UGA and found his way onto Mark Richt's staff as a student assistant. He spent 3 years there as a student assistant before working his way as a graduate assistant, maybe 2 years and then 3 years as a GA. Nonetheless, he spent 5 years from 2005 to 2010 at UGA, basically working for free. All right, basically working for free. Not basically. The first 2 years working for free. The next 3 years working for education and sleeping on couches, I would imagine, back in the day of GA and in the early 2000s. So that was the origination to getting into coaching. That's what he had to do to just get his foot in the door. All right, so I get a lot of young people my age, getting into their workforce, bitching, moaning, complaining about barrier to entry. I'm here to tell you, no matter what you do, barrier to entry is hard. You're gonna have to be willing to work for free for a lot of this nowadays, okay? Media, coaching, okay, whatever it is you're trying to get into, that if it's really, really competitive, you're going to have to be willing to work for free. He did it. 5 years, worked his way on, found a way somehow, some way. Maybe he knew somebody, I don't know. Found a way, maybe talked his way into it, found his way onto Georgia's coaching staff, all right, and coached as a GA and a student assistant from 2005 to 2010. Also spent some time in there bouncing around to West Virginia. Okay, just randomly took a job up at West Virginia, probably with a coach that he knew. All right, and then after that, he spent time at Marshall for 2 seasons as a safeties coach. Just out of nowhere. Greatest tight ends coach that we know to date in college football was out here coaching safeties at Marshall because he had to for 2 years. All right, and then he comes back to UGA in 2015 as the tight ends coach, ultimately follows Mark Richt to Miami from 2016 to 2018 as the subsequent tight ends coach, and then gets hired at UGA in 2019 to go on to become, again, the greatest tight ends coach that we have in this sport based off, pretty much all indications and all signs of what we've seen over the last 4 years at the University of Georgia since he's been at the helm at that position group. If he's not the best tight ends coach in the country, he damn sure recruits like the best tight ends coach in the country. All right. He stacks that room better than anybody else in the country. All right. And it wasn't one of these guys that did it from a traditional path. This wasn't a guy that was a hot shot quarterback that turned into a hot shot coordinator that ended up becoming a head coach, or a hot shot defensive lineman that ended up getting an opportunity to be a defensive line coach. No, this is a guy that absolutely grinded his way to where he is, to I would assume a $700, I think his contract's like $800,000 coaching tight ends at Georgia. And he got there again through a non-traditional path. And I never quite could figure it out. As someone who's tracked this stuff, as someone who's watched the coaching trees and studied this sport and the hiring practices of the teams that are involved in this sport, I always wondered, how's this dude doing it? How's this dude climbing the ladder? How's this guy recruiting like he is? How is this dude getting guys to buy in? Because you look at pictures and he's like 5'10". It's kind of like, I'm not saying goofy looking, but almost purposely looks goofy in every photo he ever takes. You never really hear him speak because he's a coach at Georgia, so he never really gets media availability anyways until he's recently starting to. But I never quite figured it out until you got in the room with him. And then you get in the room with him and you're like, oh, I get it. This guy's got juice. This guy's got legitimate juice. Do yourself a favor when you get done with tonight's show. Go spend about 10 minutes. Go over to Dogs Daily. Watch that press conference with Todd Hartley. Watch how relatable he is. He's not a robot. He's the antithesis of another guy that we're going to talk about here in a second. But this dude is a guy. This guy's got personality. This guy's relatable. This guy's got juice, right? He's obviously got relationship building skills. Okay. People around him like him. That is invaluable if your job is talent acquisition. If that's what your job is, if your job is to get people to buy into you and the product that you're selling and putting onto the field, man, you're going to have a lot of success doing what you're doing. That's what I learned every time I'm around that guy, every time I'm near that guy, every time I'm in a room with Hartley. I'm like, this guy gets it. This guy has the juice. This guy is lifelike and relatable and personality driven, very akin to the way Kirby Smart is. And I have found, okay, that's kind of what it is, right? Every coach, all right, borders the line of, am I going to be a great high field juice guy, or am I going to be a methodical leader? All right. Or am I going to try to find this blend of both? I find that both the best coaches are the blend of both. And eventually maybe he finds that methodical nature of offensive coordinating, but that's not been the path so far. The path so far for Hartley is, I'm an elite relationships guy and I'm an elite juice guy, and I can coach the hell out of a room. We got to show the coordinating path eventually to be a head coach, and we're going to keep getting passed up on by the coordinating route. I don't know if Hartley's going to have to do that. Maybe he has to go the mid-major route, show that he can be a head coach, and then become a big-time head coach. Very similar to what Fran Brown's doing right now. Not a mid-major in Syracuse, but y'all get what I'm saying. That's not Penn State, okay? Maybe he works his way into a Penn State job, but Fran Brown says he wants to stay there. That's beside the point. He's definitely got the personality. He definitely got the track record and success to show that he ultimately could be a head coach one day. Now, what did I actually learn from the press conference? That's what I learned about Hartley, but what did I learn about the press conference? What did I learn about this upcoming matchup for you guys? What are the details? First and foremost, he mentioned that Brock Bowers is back in Athens rehabbing. And again, I told you I was going to take a shot at the Orange Bowl. Duh, he's not rehabbing here. There ain't nothing here, guys. They practiced at y'all ever heard of Barry University? Barry. Barry. Y'all ever heard of Barry University? It's a community college down here. I think it's D2, maybe a Division II school. I don't mean to shit on D2. Y'all know my background. I love D2 Franks, but I ain't never heard of Barry University, never in my life. I don't think they have a football team. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But that is not where Power 5 football teams practice for a major Power 5 supposed to be New Year's Six bowl. I don't mean to crap on the Orange Bowl. That, to me, that's not right. Y'all got guys out here practicing in that. So I saw a dude pissing on the fence today. They didn't even have bathrooms. Wild stuff. I felt like I was watching a high school football team practice. Again, no, crapping on Barry University here. That's not Power 5 football. That's not New Year's Six bowl games. I would understand why teams are opting out for that. They have better facilities at these bowl games that these high school All-American kids go play in. Okay. I thought that was a little questionable. But anyways, Brock is back in Athens rehabbing again, because you would imagine it makes sense for him to do that based off what I just told you about their practice facilities, let alone what they're doing for rehab, which is probably just icing and stimming in the hotel lobby. Like we're out here playing high school football again. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Anyways, so there you go. I personally think I'm still of the belief that it's going to take absolutely everything to keep Brock Bowers from even dressing in this football game, just like going out there. I think they're going to come down here, him and Mims, and join the team at some point this year or this week. We will see when ultimately that ends up happening. I got some other stuffs here about, Hartley's press conference, but we're kind of pressed for time already based off the opening. So there's that. I thought the facilities were boo hockey. I thought Hartley had a lot of juice. I thought he didn't rule out the fact that Bowers might potentially ultimately play here. It all depends on whether or not he's fully healthy, which I don't think he's going to be. So there you go. But what I wanted to know is, and I've been asking around, I hadn't had a chance to ask Hartley, but I've been wanting to know, hey, Todd, what have you learned about Brock Bowers that you might be searching for in the next guy? Right? Or the next group of guys. What about him can you take is translatable, right? Is translatable. Can you take and look for the next guy? And his answer was immediate. love of football. Brock has a lot of traits that make him really, really unique. But the love of football, so something we talked about last night, ironically enough, this is a true ball lover. Like, this guy loves football unlike any other person that I have covered, just based off his actions and what he's willing to put himself through just to get back onto the field for no other reason than the fact that he loves the game. It's the only reason why he would work as hard as he does at it, right? Because he truly loves this shit. So we talked about that last night, only for his coach to say that is indeed the trait that makes him unique. So I got to wonder, like, how do you, I mean, that's sweet, coach, but like, how do we tangibly find, how do we quantify the love of football? Because you better start looking for it, especially the way the world of football works right now, right? With this transfer portal stuff and NIL and like all these different priorities that have taken place in the line of, what's important around the world of college, football in general, where it seems like the play, like actually working to be great on the field, has kind of taken a back seat. You better find these dudes that prioritize the love of football. So how do we do that? Well, it's a bunch of stuff that coach has been looking for forever, right? Is your GPA good? If you slack off in class, you have a tendency to slack off. Brock Bowers has probably never slacked off at a moment in anything in his entire goddamn life. That's what makes him unique, right? Have they ever missed weights, coach? We ask these questions all the time. Does he do all of his reps? I used to think it was crazy that I had heard of college football programs videotaping their weight rooms to make sure guys were counting reps, to make sure dudes were doing it. It's a set of 12. By God, you do freaking 12. Don't you do 11. Don't you do 9. Oh, I forgot the count racket. You know how many guys are doing that out there in college football nowadays? A bunch. You right now, if you consider yourself a gym addict, you go to the gym, I promise you right now, you write on your script, I'm going to do 3 sets of 10. You get through that first set of 10 and it becomes 10-8-6 real freaking quick. All right. Has that ever happened to you? Do you have these tendencies? You're not a full lover of ball. You're not a Brock Bowers level lover of ball. Are you self-sufficient? Can I hand you a task, watch you like not know what to do and go figure it out? I find this in extremely hard workers. Extremely hard workers don't ask questions about how. Extremely hard workers figure out how and bring you a result, period. That's it. So are they self-sufficient? If you tell them this is where you need to get better, do they immediately go find ways to get better at that? Or do they spend 2 days quantifying how to do it, asking you how to do it, putting a plan together, how to do all the bullshit, and then a week later, that guy's already outworked you by a week? Are they self-sufficient? Do they prioritize ball? This is something I talked about earlier. When you have conversations with football players, are they talking about their fit in your program from a player standpoint? Like, hey, how does my skill set work with you? Or are they talking about things like, hey, what's the NIL package nowadays? All right. Is that the deciding factor in these recruitments? Because I promise you right now, Brock Bowers didn't know anything about NIL until he got to college. And granted, he wasn't recruited during the time of that, but you get what I'm saying. All the coaches have done these. What are his priorities? All the coaches have done these things, man. And they try to do these things. They try to find these things. Yet when asked to a man, coach, what makes that guy so great? He's the greatest tight end of all time. What makes that guy so great? Why is he special? He just loves this game more than everybody else. What? How are we going to quantify that? How are we going to go do it? I don't know, but that's how I would go about doing it. Especially the counting reps, missed weights. What's he doing in the offseason? All those things. That's when I really find out how much you really, really love this football game or this game of football, in my opinion. So there you go. We hear that a lot. Work hard, love ball, all that good stuff for Bowers. I think that the talk's a lot of sweetness, right? And it's a lot of intangible stuff that you can't really quantify. The only thing I've heard a coach or anybody around the program at Georgia talk about with regards to Bowers, that uniquely sets him apart from a physical attribute standpoint is Kirby Smart. And he talked about his core strength and his lower body strength. That's what he talked about. That's the only 2 things I've ever heard anybody actually give me that make that guy really, really special on the field. Not just make him a special person. What makes him a great tight end, coach? His lower body strength and his core strength. It makes him impossible to tackle. That's what Kirby's given us. Everything else is a little bit short. I have some other things, but I want to go ahead and bring in our guy TJ Pittenger because I don't want to make him wait around. I do want to take a quick second to give a shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Using promo code Brooks, you can get 100% deposit match today on Prize Picks. There are no prop bets or prop placements for this FSU Georgia game, as you would imagine. Nonetheless, go run over to Prize Picks today. Use promo code Brooks. You get 100% deposit match. Also want to tell you guys that if you like this shirt, it is available on our merch store. The link is in the description of this YouTube video. And we also put a new shirt up over there today, 2% Chooch. So if you want a 2% Chooch shirt, go ahead and find out today over there on the merch store. TJ, baby, what's up, dog?
What's up? Hey, we have 101% deposit match if you use my code for Prize Pick. So just to let you know.
Ain't nobody worried about that, dog. Ain't nobody worried about that, dog. How you doing, man? I know it's we just got done talking. I know it's a tough time out there in the world for a Seminole.
Yeah, it's not so bad, right? Like, we're all doom and gloom these last 3 weeks, but yeah, we're not quite at what the streak Georgia was at. They still won 19 games in a row, like a little signing day blunder. We don't have to talk about that, but they still finished with a top 10 class, the best class Norvell's recruited so far. Everybody's down in the dumps about the playoff, right? And so then everything else that happens past that is, but I don't know. People are just being dramatic. I had people asking me on Christmas Day, like, are we ever going to get out of this? And I was like, ever going to get out of what? You just won 19 games in a row. Like, what the hell do you want? We've got this.
I was just about to ask how bad it is and all that good stuff, but that right there, already doom and gloom, like we're cooked. I do have one thing, TJ, and we talked a little bit about it on your show. Am I wrong for saying there are reasons for concern about culture? Everyone talks about culture this, culture that, culture this, culture that. The good programs, the sustained success programs right now don't have dozens and dozens of opt-outs, guys quitting on football games and quitting on seasons. Oregon's, seventh-year senior quarterbacks coming back, playing a bowl game. Oregon doesn't have a ton of opt-outs in that one, playing Liberty, right? Georgia, Alabama, we've seen there are programs that care about this stuff. Florida State not being one of them. Is there any reason for concern that Mike Norvell couldn't hold his team together? Is that fair?
No, I guess it's fair to ask. I don't think there's a lot of concern. Last year, every single player on the roster played in the bowl game. And so for me to think that in 12 months, you won 13 more games and then all of a sudden, all the culture was gone. That's probably not real, right? So last year, the bowl game kind of meant something to them, right? Because they had lost, they had 4 straight losing seasons and a lot of the guys were part of that. And, guys that were going to the NFL or hadn't decided whether or not they were coming back yet, came back and played because they wanted to get to that 10-win milestone. And I think this year is so much different. You look at unique situations and unique circumstances around everything. And it maybe doesn't excuse it, but maybe makes the opt-outs make a little bit more sense. I'm a Liberty alum, but you look at Oregon playing Liberty, I think your risk of potentially ruining your career or having a devastating injury against Liberty is much lower than against the 29 win in a row Georgia Bulldogs. No shots at my own alma mater there, but I think that's a little bit different. I also think that you look at the situation of Florida State's players, and we talked about this a little bit on our show. I think if Jordan Travis was playing in this game, you would have significantly less opt-outs. I think if there was a chance that you could go out and play a competitive game, you would have a lot less guys opting out. They would want to play with Jordan one more time. They would want to go out there and try and make a statement. I think when you know that you're going into a game and you're about to go get your head beat in because your quarterback isn't there, and I think there is an aspect of whether you call it selfish, whether you call it childish, whatever, any of those words could be used. I think there's an aspect of they feel like they gave everything they had to a system that bent them over and screwed them, and they don't feel like they want to give anything back to that. They don't want to be part of, at the end of the day, making that system, building more up onto that system. We also talked about really specific guys that have been playing with injuries all year. I think Keon Coleman has been playing with a nagging injury all year. Johnny Wilson has been playing with that. Jared Verse is not going to risk a first-round grade. Fabian Lovett has been playing with stuff. Braden Fisk has been playing with stuff. And so there is a lot of that too. Trey Benson is going to have certain. So there's a lot of that too that probably gets overlooked. I'd say 50% of the opt-outs are guys that are dealing with something. And so then at that point, does it make sense to go and play if you are kind of still banged up? Florida State was healthy enough outside of the quarterback as the season went on, but man, they were hanging on by a thread there late with some of the guys that were healthy. So I think when you consider all those things together, yeah, to me, it's less about culture and it's more about all those other things going on too.
TJ, I ain't even gonna hold you, brother. I didn't listen to the last like 90 seconds of what you said because I just got in my head the fact that a Liberty alum is coming to me live from the Hotbox Studios.
Can you believe that?
That's
yeah,
just,
don't tell my professors that.
Hey, God made dirt. He probably made the lettuce.
He did.
Just kidding. Anyways, I want to talk about this because the chat's already hit us up on it. The game is interesting. We'll talk a little bit about the game. I want to hear about what you actually expect to see from this offense. I mean, if you can give me a Brock Glenn eval, go ahead and prepare it in your head. And whatever the hell y'all going to do at running back and wide receiver, still don't figure that out yet. Oh, or tight end. Because I think 1 and 2 are either, whatever. But what I do want to know is I want you to talk me through the KJ Balden extravaganza and how it went down from the Florida State's perspective, because I obviously know how it sounded and how it felt over here on the Georgia side.
3 weeks before KJ committed, I was told by somebody extremely close to the recruitment, hey, he's going to commit to FSU. Like he is going to pick FSU. I think it was like right around July 4th, if I remember correctly. Maybe end of June, beginning of July. I only remember that because I think Charles Lester, the other 5-star DB, was end of July. So it was like a month between them. But I was told like he is going to pick FSU. Like we have full confidence he will be a Nole. But we're going to have to fend Georgia off the entire time. Like we are going to sweat this out until signing day. So I was told that in June. And essentially that is what happened, right? Florida State got the commitment, feel like they did enough to get him in. I don't think there were a ton of concerns like 2 weeks out, but I think, around the time that rumors started popping up that he may show up at Auburn, he may go visit here, he may do this, he may do that. I think Florida State thought it was a good thing that he went to Syracuse. Some of his comments after that kind of make you think maybe that wasn't the best thing that he went to Syracuse. But just not visiting Athens or the Plains felt like a good thing at that moment. And so I think that there wasn't a ton of concern until some of the rumors started popping up. Oh, is it Auburn? Is it Georgia? Like they're making a late push. But I think Florida State really until about 48 hours out, still felt like they would have a good chance to hold on. They were glad that they got him on campus and that he wasn't going anywhere else that weekend, per his words. I think they would have liked a little bit more, a little stronger of a, hey, yeah, like, I'm signing here. This is done. Like, let's go. When he was leaving Florida State, but I think they felt good until about 48 hours out. I started getting a little more wind of like, hey, we're in trouble on this. And so, go ahead.
You got the drop in June, you said?
I was told in June, yeah. Like, hey,
we got the drop in June that he might have silenced to Georgia on his OV in the summer. So I think there was a lot of people who thought they had momentum during the summer. And obviously Florida State gets his initial commitment. And normally I will tell you how normally this goes. Like Georgia always pretends like they're going to continue to recruit the kid. But normally when things like that go, they just go. And it's just the end of that recruitment. Georgia moves on and starts focusing on other things. That was like you mentioned, that was never the case with KJ. KJ committed to Florida State and it was like, cool. So we're still on for next week on our date, right? We're still going on our date, right? You can date them, but we're still going to see each other, right? Yeah, honey, we're going to see each other. And that's all Georgia needed to hear at all. I think from Florida State's perspective, this conversation, TJ, always got boiled down to an NIL thing. I think it was a little bit more than that. I think it was an idea of, hey, I love Florida State as a kid. I have an opportunity to turn that around. Oh, crap. I'm almost guaranteed based off historical data, if I go to Georgia as a 5-star safety and I start 3 years or I start 2 years, I'm probably going to be drafted like I'm ranked now. And that's life-changing money and a higher guarantee as such. So I don't think we had to boil it down to an NIL thing. I think one was I have an opportunity to turn the thing around that I love. I have an opportunity to confirm my future in the sport that I love. Those are two different paths. And I think that was what it ultimately boiled down to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go, you want the best players in the country, right? And to get that, you're going to have to beat the big dog. And Georgia can sell that better than anyone in the country right now. I mean, Alabama's up there too, for sure, with what they've done for the last decade and a half. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to dance with the big dogs. And I think Florida State did for most of this recruitment did about as well as you could. I think, you'd rather play from the front, you'd like if he would have committed to Georgia back in June, like I think Florida State, I don't think they would have just moved on and given up, but I certainly don't think that they would have, spent as much time, effort, and resources in that. I think they played it well with getting his official visit at the end of the cycle. I mean, I think they played a lot of things well. It just didn't go their way, and I think Florida State needs to close better. I think Georgia certainly gets credit for, landing the commitment, but this is 3 years in a row that Florida's top defensive commit has flipped on signing day. And that has to get better. And that's not to take, a ton away from Georgia, but it's just like, well, who's the top defensive commitment going into 2025? Because we've had Travis Hunter, and then we had Keldrick Falk, and now we have KJ Balden 3 years in a row. And those are all like program changing guy. Like Keldrick Falk started this year, like they're and KJ would have stepped right in yesterday, or I'm sorry, this upcoming year. And obviously we know what Travis Hunter is. And so, 3 years in a row, you've lost that guy. And so not to take anything away from Georgia, but man, for Florida State fans, it just feels like par for the course, like we obviously that happened because it's Florida State and we lose that guy on signing day. So again, Georgia gets a lot of credit there. Florida State has to find a way to stop that bleeding. Like that cannot continue to happen year after year after year.
All right, so I'm sitting here looking at Florida State's two deep. The two deep doesn't exist at the quarterback position. They're down to QB3. I believe they're down to one running back on the scholarship list is Keziah Holmes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, so they got one running back. I think you told me there's two receivers listed at running back currently, two backup receivers.
Yeah, Ja'Kai Douglas is a receiver.
Love that.
Joshua Burrell. Ja'Kai Douglas, let me give him a little credit. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. He was recruited as a running
back.
Got moved to wide receiver, but he is, he lines up everywhere. So I'll say like he plays more wide receiver, but he's a little more, he's just as natural there.
Wide receiver 1 out, wide receiver 2 out. Tight end 1 out, tight end 2 in the portal. Tight end 3 gonna play, so that's good. Well, I guess tight end 2 gonna play, tight end 3 in the portal. I think that's how that shook out. Number 1 defensive end obviously out. Top 2 defensive tackles out. Well, I actually see like 5 defensive tackles marked out right here. Other defensive end Patrick Payton not gonna play. Both linebackers questionable. We talked about on your show as well. Dude, how in the ever-loving hell is this gonna be anything other than a massacre?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the line stayed at 14 for so long. Maybe just figuring that Georgia would be disinterested and that might keep the game kind of close. Like, I don't know how Vegas kept it at 14 for as long as they did. Now, I think it's like 19 and a half now once the news of Tate Rodemaker not playing came out. And even that, I don't know. Bowl games are really tough to bet. We just talked about like how much of a degenerate I am, betting on them as I, watch the Louisville USC game right now. But I think I think bowl games are tough to bet, and 20 points is a lot of points, and I expect Georgia to win and win by a lot. But bowl games are so weird. Like you could have 3 Georgia fumbles that like keeps Florida State in this, and certainly probably the only way that Florida State stays in it. But yeah, I think that 20 points is a lot, but if you're asking me right now, I still like Georgia to cover that at this point. There's just nobody on the roster. Like you said, QB2 right now is a walk on,
and you have a singular scholarship running back.
I think they can have some success running the Wildcat if they were playing anybody but Georgia.
Yeah.
I think
Wildcat is used to add a hat, get a strength in numbers in the run game, account for people who are not gap sound and not gap disciplined. None of that applies to Georgia. Like you're always a plus hat anyways in the run game against Georgia because they play light boxes on purpose because they can. So yeah, the idea that they're just going to run the ball for 7 points or 7-point scoring drive to me is a little bit beyond me. Why aren't you here, by the way?
I opted out of the bowl game. No, it was a lot. It was a busy season. I do a lot. So usually when I go to the games, I just do tailgates and stuff like that. And I didn't know if there would be enough, just enough support, like enough, means to kind of justify going down there and doing the work that it would take to set one up. I never cover the game I never cover the game. Like I never go in the press box or do any of that stuff. So it would be like, I would come down on the day of the game anyway and do a big tailgate and have to, Uber home that night. But
I don't want to expose one of your colleagues, but I turned around today and dude might as well had the tribal chief gear on. He was decked out head to toe in Seminole gear.
Who was this?
Buddy, I don't know. Somebody. Maybe I'll tell you off air. Somebody from the Florida State beat that. I mean, dude, he looked like he had the team issued gear on, bro. He was out here stunting for the Seminoles out there in the press conferences. So shout out to the Florida State beat for not hiding any allegiances. And I also saw another Florida State member get up out their car that was just littered with Seminole stickers all over it. So hey, I'm here for the biased journalism. Everybody understands the deal. We all get it. You know what I mean? I'll tell you right now, my money sure goes up when Georgia wins. It's not playing in the Orange Bowl. Okay. Viewership definitely goes up when they're not playing in the Orange Bowl. Even though we had a banger last night, TJ, couldn't quite understand it.
How about this?
Anyway,
yeah. This has been bad for my mental health this last month with the snub and everything else. But I'll tell you, people also love negativity. And that has worked really well for the channel, bro. I will tell you that. I don't ever want to get snubbed like this again, but it wasn't the worst thing for the old double fries. So I'll say that.
How about that? Just a couple business guys cutting it up. He is TJ Pittinger. He does run a tremendous YouTube channel for our Florida State fans that have found us. Hey, TJ, before I let you go, you have to make the decision. Crab cake, haircut, Wi-Fi, or the only reason I would live in a beach town.
Wi-Fi.
Thank you. We'll see you, brother. Appreciate you, dog. All right, Wi-Fi. Here's my beef. It's 2023, almost 2024. Elon Musk can't figure out how to keep the porn bots out of my Twitter accounts, but he's figured out how to get streamers to be able to get Wi-Fi out in the daggum mountains with their daggum RVs. So here's my thing. If we can figure out how to get the granola gamer some daggum Wi-Fi on the mountains of Narnia, all right, but I can't get decent Wi-Fi at the daggum Orange Bowl Media Hotel. What is this? What is this? That Wi-Fi crawled like daggum dial-up. I thought I heard some meh over in the corner. What are we doing? It's 2023. Why do you got shitty Wi-Fi at a big New Year's Six bowl game? Mercedes-Benz Stadium during the SEC Championship game. You know what my dial-ups or my internet speed was? I was getting 2.4 megabits per second. That's some shit you ain't even never heard of. You can't do nothing with that. You can't even open up freaking Microsoft Word on your daggum laptop with that shit. It's 2023. We spend millions and millions of dollars on covering this sport, and we can't get daggum good Wi-Fi? What in the world? Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, and we got a great show for you guys as always here tonight. We're only about, I don't know, a quarter of the way in. I got to spin the notes back because I got some additional press conference takes. You know what? While I'm pissed off, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's cook some of you goofies, as I called you in the Discord chat today. Some of you silly geese. Let's cook some of you silly geese. As that media availability today, Chaz Chambliss does not want to do those. Does not want to do those at all. The idea that someone's going to stick a camera in his face and ask him some questions about a sport that they 9 times out of 10 don't really know a ton about. Yeah, not in love with doing it. The energy very, very low. That being said, had to ask him, hey, bud, you're a senior. You coming back next year? What's going on? What's the future of Georgia or Chaz Chambliss look like? You know, he immediately answers, oh, I'm coming back next year. Got a lot to improve on my game. And boom, Twitter exploded. Twitter exploded because how dare a starting outside linebacker at the University of Georgia who chose Georgia, okay, Carrollton High School kid, spent some time out in Mississippi as an Army brat, and as a son of an Army lieutenant, corporal. What's the main one? Sergeant? Drill sergeant. That's what he was. Dad, mega badass. All right. But anyways, this guy chose Georgia. Top, 4-star recruit. I think top 250 guy coming out of Carrollton High School. You guys loved him when he committed. And, bumps down from inside linebacker down to outside linebacker, starts doing the thing at Jack. Plays a year behind Azeez Ojulari, plays 2 years behind Noah Smith, really a year and a half behind Noah Smith, and then gets his opportunity to start as a redshirt junior. And does well, by all accounts, in my opinion, right? Does what he's supposed to do. Goes out there and plays football, plays it physically, is a first and second down football player, is not really left out there on third down. But by God, you guys had some takes. So I'm not going to do this often. I'm not going to do this often, but a lot of the times, most of you people hop in my mentions because you want some attention. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give some attention because I think some of this is some of the stupidest shit I've ever seen on social media for, by the way, a guy that don't deserve none of this. Like, yeah, you can say what you want about his performances, but we're going to get into that here in just a second. But of all people to go out and just flame on social media, this guy's done everything right. Not the 5-star that came in, was 9th on the depth chart, sat around for 6 months, and then was like, screw this. I ain't never going to play. I'm out of here. Not that guy. When that guy hits the portal, you guys go to Twitter and are all up in arms. What's wrong? Oh, my God. What's going on? What is happening in Athens? That's what happens every time the 5-star who ain't never played a snap enters the portal. But the guy who has won, competed, and earned a job, when that guy wins a daggum job and keeps a daggum job and wants to come back to stand on his job, y'all go to Twitter and start saying this shit right here. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and pull some of these up right here, like this one. Okay, time to rock out 32. We want to see number 11. This is my favorite. I love Jalen Walker. I think Jalen Walker's a great football player. But guess what Jalen Walker can't do? Jalen Walker cannot play jack on first down. Jalen Walker is not going to be responsible for closing space and taking on a pulling guard. They're not going to ask him to do it. They don't ask him to do it. They're not going to ask him to hold the edge and not get reached on wide zone towards his space against a 6'7", 340-pound right tackle or left tackle. They're not going to do it. You know why? Because he can't. You know what they weren't going to do this year? They weren't going to ask Marvin Jones Jr. to figure out how to play first and second down. You know why? Because practice said he couldn't. Practice said he wasn't there yet. Practice said 32 is better at it than 7. So he didn't do it. You know who can't hold up on first down? Damon Wilson right now. You know who might one day soon? Damon Wilson. You know who couldn't this year? Damon Wilson. You know who couldn't do it? Darius Smith. You know who couldn't do it? CJ Madden. Like, why do y'all do this, man? It's the same reason Azeez Ojulari kept Adam Anderson off the field. You have to be able to play on first and second down. So all the people that were doing he's holding snaps from 11. No, he ain't. 11's playing on first and second down at Mike or at Will. He is not playing first and second down at Jack. You know what he gets to do? He gets to rush the passer on obvious passing downs. You know what he would get to do? He would get to do that shit whether or not Chaz Chambers was on the roster. Stupid. Congratulations. What's your name? No, yeah, at #1 baller. Congratulations, Chris. You got your 3 minutes of getting cooked on this network. On to the next one. Who's the? Oh, yeah. Pierce Ransom. Pierce Ransom, I love you, buddy. You're in my mentions constantly. You're probably watching right now. He sucks. No, buddy, you do. You do for doing this. You are a diehard Georgia fan. Pierce is in everything. I see him on all of my stuff. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. You suck. I'm glad the mentions got you on that one. Transfer, please. I love this comment for Brian Land. Ryan Friel at Friel _Ray68470. It's always you. It's always you at _4879624. It's always you, random bot user with no profile picture. Okay. Can you transfer fandom instead? I love that comment. How about this one from Falcons Can't Draft? The only guy I wanted to leave, sad face, set the edge. Oh boy. Y'all don't know what the hell setting the edge looks like. None of y'all know this. Okay. None. You know what setting the edge is? Setting the edge is forcing a play to bounce or retread. That's what setting the edge is. When a guard pulls, I stalemate his bitch ass right where he hit me. They cannot run counter inside B gap now. They cannot run wide or a split zone duo in that C gap now. They cannot because we have shrunk, closed, set the edge. You know what is not setting the edge? You know what is not criticism of the edge defender is when the edge is set, the running back sees that, bounces all the way out and runs around the defensive line. That is not on the edge defender. But you guys, for some reason, every single time it happens, these people in my mentions, Mr. I am Batman. No, you're not. This guy in my mentions, you know what this guy doesn't understand? This guy doesn't understand football. He doesn't. Because I can show you a dozen freaking clips of Chaz Chambers making offensive guards in college football question whether or not they want to play next Saturday. Goofy ass shit on my timeline. How about this one, Rudy Fly? How about this one? Always in the YouTube chat. I know you're here right now, buddy. You finna get cooked. He definitely has some dirt on coaches, LMAFAO, dude running around doing nothing. I love that one. I love the assumption that he is not the best available in the room, right? Because that assumption is just saying that Glenn Schumann, Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp are not doing what is best for the defense. Oh boy, I got something for you. I got something for you because y'all did this shit with Stetson Bennett too. Oh, why are we playing that guy? He's holding back the backups that are clearly better than him. How on earth do you know that? How on earth do you know that? Yet the guy who gets to see 20 hours of practice every single week of those players competing at the same exact responsibilities has chosen one of these guys. Yet you constantly do the second guessing, the naysaying, it's my right as a fan to question some of these decisions. Yeah, it is, except for the fact that they won 2 out of the last 3 national titles. Goofy. On to the next one. Who else is left? This one right here. With all due respect to Chaz, he is a solid cover linebacker, but he is never will or was going to be an elite pass rusher in this scheme. His last sack was a year ago. I love this. Chaz Chambliss, dog shit football player, but a great cover linebacker. Boy, did you miss the eval. Oh my God. The last thing he needs to be doing is covering folks. You missed the eval. He's not out here a strap in coverage. What are you talking about? One of these guys out here, I got to find him. One of these dudes was like, dude's a terrible run defender. And then his response was, well, at least he plays the run well. It's beyond me. It is absolutely beyond me that on one hand, we out here doing the can't believe guys hitting the portal. And on the other hand, we out here talking about, send the redshirt senior packing. We ain't got room for some mid. What the hell are y'all talking about? The hell out of here. Y'all wanted your attention. I hope you got it. There you go. Where should we go next? Let's finish these press conference observations. Glenn Schumann. I got 5 words. Robotic, genius, passionate about football. That's how I would describe Glenn Schumann. He is robotic, almost emotionless unless needed to be provoked to do so. Robotic, definitely a genius. Talks and understands football at a much, much higher rate than anybody else. I'm literally breaking a sweat from that last subject. Y'all got me out here heated. 69 degrees in the hotel room. Swag. That was not on purpose. It just happened. I talked about it earlier. I find leaders are 2 types. I think there's 2 types of leaders and then a third one, right? I think there are leaders who are energetic and juice-filled, right? You walk into a room, they command it. They hold it. They got a lot of energy. And I think there's another kind of leader that is very methodical. He thinks before he talks, okay? There is a full thought-out plan before the plan is presented, okay? Those types of leaders. And then there are the combinations of both. I think Kirby Smart is the best and brightest personality that is in that coach's room. I think even though despite what I said about Todd Hartley earlier on the microphone, I think if Kirby Smart wanted to be on TV tomorrow, he could, oh my God, he'd light it up. I think he is so quick-witted. I think he's smart. I think he's got a good sense of humor. I think he's purposefully dry in front of the microphone sometimes on purpose. That's what purposefully dry is, by the way. So I think he is a combination of both. He's very methodical. We've talked about his obsessive traits with regards to finding and winning in the margins, all those good things, right? So I think the best of the best in this line of work are the combination. I think Dan Lanning's a combination of both. I think Dan Lanning's got an elite personality. I also think Dan Lanning's extremely methodical. I think, like I said earlier, I think Todd Hartley has room to grow if he wants to be a head coach from the coordinating methodical standpoint, even though he clearly has a track record of being able to coach pretty much everything, offense, defense, special teams. But I think Glenn Schumann, on the other hand, could use some, hey, coach, you got to fake it a little bit more. You do, but maybe he never needs it. because around his players, he does have personality. I see his players laughing with him all the time. I see him cutting up, having a good time, all that good stuff. But I learned more about Georgia's defense talking to Coach Atkins, the offensive coordinator and former offensive line coach from Florida State, about Georgia's defense. I learned more from him in one question than I really did from talking to Shu today. And Shu gives us a lot of good stuff, but sometimes he could talk over you a little bit, and that happens with geniuses and certified ball knowers, but not like PhD holders in the ball knowing. Even me, sometimes I can be like, damn, coach, got a little bit too deep in the weeds there for me. But I asked Coach Atkinson straight up and said, what is unique about the challenges that Georgia's defense presents? And I've asked other coordinators this question before. I've asked, different coaches this before. And 9 times out of 10, the first thing out of that coach's mouth is they want to talk about how great the players are. They got a dozen 5-stars, right? That Shane Beamer clip went viral several years ago. They ain't reinventing the wheel. They just got 5-stars after 5-stars after 5-stars. They're just great players. And I don't disagree. Georgia has great players. But Coach Atkins noticed something on tape and noticed something during his evaluation process of Georgia's defense that I have alluded to on this channel for years. And it's the fact that, you do have great players, but you have extremely well-coached football players. They are in the right spot all the time. They move first all the time. They move in unison all the time. The units look as one. The linebackers key step, read step the same way. The defensive line, unless running a stunt, block or attack and shed blocks identically. They two gap identically, right? They do everything as a unit. They are clearly, obviously, well coached, well prepared. And you see it, like Coach Atkins was talking about today. You see it in the subtle nuances. You see the football acumen in pre-snap movements, right? A prime example, I think all of you guys will remember, is Chris Smith's interception against Clemson. That was found and born in film observation, and he has since alluded to that. He has talked about that. Another example with the same football player as Chris Smith on a very similar play, 2x2 RPO slant to the field against LSU SEC championship game last year. He didn't make the play. He didn't make the interception. He made the tip and the deflection. Smile Monda made the interception. The play was great. The play was awesome. The pre-snap key step, to me, blew my mind. If you watch the replay of that play, you will watch Chris Smith. He will look in at the quarterback. He will look back at the wide receiver. He will look back in at the quarterback. He will take one step at a 45-degree angle towards the play where it was going to go before the ball is snapped. That's only born out of study habits. That is only born out of your coach preparing you properly. That is only born from you caring to be a smart football player. Not a great football player, not a great athlete, not a great runner, not a great tester, not a 5-star. That has nothing to do with that. That has everything to do with the fact that you were prepared properly, that you went about your preparation. And that stuff right there, that stuff speaks on tape. People ask me all the time, hey, Brooks, what are you a fan of? What are you a fan of? What are you a fan of? Who are you a fan of? And my answer has always been, I love well-coached football teams. That's all I love. That's all I care about. If I turn the film on and I know you're doing the right things, or you're doing things that intrigue me, or you're going about coaching the game of football properly, and it's palpable, it's noticeable on tape, man, that stuff gives me the willies. That stuff makes me excited. It's the reason I feel the way I do about Georgia football. It's the reason I feel the way I do about Alabama football. It's the reason I feel the way I do about Ohio State's offense. It's the reason I feel the way I do about a lot of the things that I do around the game of football. Because I know you're well coached, and that stuff to me matters, right? You can see the film study come to fruition on tape. You can see the coaching come to fruition on tape. I felt the same way about Michigan before I found out they were a bunch of cheaters. And now I'm just perplexed. Now I don't know what to do with them. I don't. So there's that. What do we got here? Those are a bunch of notes from earlier. Let's talk about a crab cake. I got a question for the chat. If you bite into a crab cake and you're in a beach town and you get like not one, but like 2 obvious crab shells in your crab cake, my question to you is, should that provide a sense of comfort to you because it is confirming that that crab meat is indeed fresh? Or are you just eating a shitty crab cake? because this is the predicament I found myself in today while, doing some real Instagram girly shit today. I sat down on the beach and ate at a beach bar, ate dinner at a beach bar today and sat down and wrote my notes, looking over the sunset and all the good stuff that the beach provides down here. And whilst I'm eating my crab cake, I taste these shells and just a couple of them, pop, pop, pop. And, didn't crack a tooth or nothing. There was no damage felt. The crab cake, otherwise, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm from Georgia. I don't know if it's good or bad. I ate it. Tasted good. Not a food critic. My question is, should I feel better because I know it's fresh? Because why else would there be a crab shell in there? Or should I just agree that I had a shitty crab cake? We'll leave it up to the chat. You guys let me know. Crab cake, way better than the shitty Wi-Fi at the team hotel. Even though this Wi-Fi here at the Wyndham, premium, baby. Premium. Shouts out to Wyndham. Let's see here. Should we get into practice observations? We're almost an hour in and we haven't even gotten to practice observations. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, we hit all this good stuff. Yeah, we hit all that. All right, first off, what a absolute shit show covering 15 minutes of practice availability is with just one person. Not to do the complaining thing, but your boy was out there running it down by my lonesome, and that's not easy to do. Out there watching 140 guys run around the field trying to get photos, notes, mental notes, rotational notes, all the good stuff that we do during those practice observations. Hard to do one person. But shout out to my boy Kirby. Shout out to my boy Kirby. Now, Kirby, you ain't let us in the building since August to watch practice, but I ain't going to get mad at you. I done said that I would do the same exact thing if I were a Power 5 football coach that won at the rate that you do, and pretty much got to tell the media to do whatever the hell you want because you don't need them to spin no narrative, because what narrative they going to spin? They're going to go find some speeding tickets because they dang sure ain't going to talk about you losing football games because you don't really do that. Nonetheless, shouts out Kirby for not only letting us to practice availability, that was really the Orange Bowl's duties, but during those practice availability, giving us one-on-ones. Holy shit, one-on-ones, competitive periods? Now, he spent 10 minutes giving us indies, but, not going to complain, not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. All right, so shouts out to Kirby for actually giving us one-on-ones. Just off the top, I thought the best player in one-on-ones today, and take this for what it is worth, was Arian Smith. I thought Arian Smith was a really, really tough guard today in one-on-one, so I want to start with that. Now, here's what I want to move to. Holy hell, does this cornerback room look really, 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 really good for Dalen Everett to be starting. That dude, again, back to the Chaz Chambliss discussions, they start him for a reason. There must be something that he does in practice that is just way better than the other dudes. But I'm telling you right now, Andre Evans, the freshman that just enrolled, gonna be a guy based off what he looks like. Holy hell, he is beautiful. Okay, we done told you about Ellis Robinson. That dude looks like an NFL football player already at 18 years old. Daniel Harris still practicing despite being actively in the portal right now. Holy beautiful. Holy gorgeous. Okay, there is a bunch. Julian Humphrey, there is a bunch of NFL bodies at that cornerback room for our guy, Dalen Everett, to be starting. So, again, must be doing some crazy-ass shit during practice to hold on to that spot. Because if you think that they're just playing guys because they like them, you don't win 2 titles doing that. So, you can move on there. Safeties, huge safeties. Okay, you went like Tyke Smith, Javon Bullard, both squatty frames. David Daniel Sissavon, 6'2", long, lanky, almost like Lewis Seen. Okay, those 2 body types to Justin Rhett. Justin Rhett looked like a Big 12 linebacker, cuz. I mean, huge. Jonel Aguero, huge. Kyron Jones, huge. Big-ass dudes playing safety for Georgia. Whether or not they're going to be ballers, I don't know. Whether or not they're ever going to get on the field, I don't know. Because Malachi Starks and eventually KJ Balden, really, really great players. But damn, do they look the part. Speaking of looking the part, London Humphreys, to me, in the 15 minutes that I was out there, drinking from a fire hose, I saw some big eyes. All right. And I would imagine that going from Vanderbilt practice and being a freshman All-American at Vanderbilt, so then going to practice at UGA and trying to learn everything, that's hard. That's hard to do. So I saw some deer in the headlights type look at some points from Humphrey, constantly having a coach in his ear the whole time. I think the physical traits will ultimately end up taking over. But you're here for the freshman intel. That's what you're here for. You're here for the freshman intel. Holy F word. Holy F word. There are some freaks. There are some, like, first off the bus. Holy shit. Look at that guy. Look at that dude. First and foremost, Justin Williams and Chris Cole. Justin Williams and Chris Cole look like they are juniors in college right now. They are so big, so fast, so physically put together. It's absurd. Justin Williams a little tight in the hips, as we showed on tape. Chris Cole, same things to an extent. They're going to grow out of those things. I think the movement patterns will ultimately get better during their time in college. Those are massive human beings. Okay, very different frames than what C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson look like. C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson look like Nakobe Dean and run like Roquan Smith. Okay, these two dudes both look like Quay Walker almost. They're freaky. They are very, very freaky big. Speaking of freaking big, Joseph Jonah Ajonye, this time last year was 240 pounds. If you told me that dude was 290, I wouldn't be shocked. I think he was in 19 today. I double take 3 times before I was like, who in the ever-loving shit is that? I had to take a picture of him and send him to sources. Like, I got to know who this is because you can't see their face. I just saw back, hips, and ass and was like, my God, who is that? And one of those fat pack bellies, one of those bellies that's like protruding from his waistline, but it's just ding, 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 just loaded up with muscle fibers. Don't really know what's going on there. That is a freak human being. And while I was gallivanting about how freakishly looking he was, I'm getting immediate intel from sources about how well he's practicing so far as well. I think JJA is going to be a dude. The freshman receivers are space creators, but they are small. All right, and that's to be expected. They're going to physically grow into what frames are available. It was noticeable that they are route savvy. It was also noticeable that they were freshmen. It didn't have to just be red jerseys, number 7s, and he put all of the rookies in goofy numbers. But it was very obvious to me that they were freshmen, just like it was very obvious to me that Nnamdi Ogboko was a freshman. The nose tackle from North Carolina, he looks like he's 5'8" standing next to Ja Jarrett. Nnamdi Ogboko is going to have to be a fire plug based off what I saw today. He looks very small, short. Who doesn't look small? Jaden Riddell. I know everybody saw the tweet. That's Neanderthal. Okay, and I want to say this, and I want to preface. I already said the comp. This is a compliment. It's a football compliment. That dude looks like a caveman. It looks like a caveman mixed with the what's the giant that's out in the Midwest? Bigfoot. That's what that dude looked like. I mean, just 6'6", 245 pounds. Ain't an inch on that dude's body that ain't covered in hair. I mean, my God, what a grown man. My God, what a Neanderthal. And to see him be that big and see it in person and know prior to seeing him that the intel was that he was running past dudes, holy shit. Holy hell, that's going to be a good one. That's going to be a good one. That's going to be a good football player. Speaking of being a good one, I think Ja Jarrett's on the precipice. I think Ja Jarrett is on the precipice of being something special for Georgia at the nose tackle position. He is massive, and he is clicking. It is clicking. He is in shape, ladies and gentlemen. He is getting there. Speaking of clicking, we are clicking over to our national hour here. We went 1 hour and 5 minutes on them dogs. Okay, I know you guys love college football. I know y'all consume loads and loads of college football content. Make sure you're sticking around here and giving us a chance to be your home, not only for Georgia football content, but national college football content as well. Here it is, National Hour. Let's play the intro real quick because I want to drink some water. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. No need for the whole thing. I really just wanted the first That thing hit. I get people ask me all the time, like, whose song is that? That's ours. We own that. Had somebody make it for us. Shouts out. Only cost me about $350. No, I'm just kidding. All right, NBR. Nico gonna pop that cherry this weekend against Iowa in his bowl game. And I talked about this last night. Nostrabizas came out here and told you that, hey, if I was Joe Milton's agent, ain't no way in hell that you'd be playing against Iowa as a guy that's already got questions about your processing ability. Unless I knew you were going to go out there and ace the test because for some reason you had the answers, we're not going to let you go do that one. All right, we're going to make you sit out and opt out of that one. And that's exactly what happened. So now Nico is going to have to go out there and play Iowa in his first football game. And I talked about this a little bit last night. There's not a worse career start in college football presently available. I don't think Millard Moss had a rougher go at it in what he's doing right now. I think this is about it. This is about as hard as it gets because they're not physically overwhelming, even though they play hard. They only have a couple of NFL caliber football players, does Iowa. But this is the most difficult zone defense to play in the country. And here's how you know this. They are arguably statistically the best defense in college football, or one of top 5, right? Statistically. And they do so playing strictly zone coverage. All those other teams in that list, the Michigans of the world, the Georgias of the world, the Ohio States of the world, they got guys. They got guys to be able to cover you, all right, and put safeties over the top. This team's out here doing it up defensively, not doing none of that. It's a hard start. Hard, absolutely hard one for you. And for some reason, if there's Tennessee fans watching this, I want to forewarn you, okay? If he looks horrible, do not panic. Do not panic if he looks horrible, because I think he might. And it's not a forlong conclusion that that's what it's going to look like the remainder of his career because of what I'm talking to you about, right? And anyone who enjoys the suffering of Tennessee fans, like most of you watching tonight, if that's you, enjoy this potential outcome, because the other potential outcome ain't great for anybody who loves the misery of Tennessee fans. Because I'm here to tell you right now, if Nico goes out in this football game and he balls out, I'm going to come on this network and tell you this is verifiable. This is stamped. This is going to be the thing. This is for real. This is here. You're going to have to deal with this for 2 more years or a year, whatever it's going to take. If this comes out and he balls, I'm not talking about 7 for 27 or 17 for 27 for 254, because that's the Joe Milton stat line. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about comes out, looks efficient, looks like a processor, is accurate, goes for 300 plus a couple tutties, and only maybe a turnover. If that's it against this football team, I'm telling you right now, Nico is a thing. All right, so I don't need a large sample size. I need this one sample size, because I'm going to tell you what I already know about him. I already know he's got the talent and the arm strength to beat man coverage, just like the last guy did. The last guy lacked accuracy. This guy doesn't. He doesn't have one of these go to the NFL combine, blow the things off the, blow the doors off the combine, throw it 100 miles an hour, throw it 100 yards like Joe Milton's going to do. But he's far more accurate based off the evaluation that I have of him and what I know of him. And he's got plenty of arm. He is one of these 1% chooch guys. He's got a special arm talent. It's got a special life to it. So yeah, I again, if you like misery for Tennessee, you got a good chance of this happening. But if that don't happen, if he doesn't look like shit, if he does look calm, if he does look like he can collect himself and deliver strikes, it's gonna be a long 2 years for everybody that doesn't like Tennessee doing well, because they're gonna have a guy. I truly believe that. So there you go. Welcome into NBR. We got KJ Jefferson potentially finding a new home. We're going to talk about the mythical odds. Actually, I think we scratched that one from it. Damani Jackson down to 2 schools. We'll talk about that. Evan Stewart down to 5. I've got thoughts. I don't know if I want to fully relieve them and fully dump them off. You know what? I'm going to do it right now. The 5 schools he's looking into. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I think it's Oregon, it's Florida State, it's Tennessee. It's basically the top 5 of the top 7 NIL schools. We'll leave it at that. Ole Miss on that list. We got Lane Kiffin's comments about the college football schedule being effed up. I'm gonna make a run at potentially solving the college football calendar. So if you think the college football calendar is messed up and you think there's no help and no hope for the future of college football because of it, stick around. I might have a Band-Aid for the solution. But I want to talk about this KJ Jefferson to UCF stuff that's rumbling around. Man, if that ain't Gus Malzahn, ooh boy. KJ Jefferson and Gus Malzahn go together better than Wendy's burgers and Wendy's bacon. You know what I mean? Like they just perfect. And here's why. Now, John Rice Plumlee was electric in that offense. But John Rice Plumlee lacks what is required to remain healthy in that offense. I don't know if you know this, but playing quarterback for Gus Malzahn is a dangerous thing. You're going to put up some stats, but you're going to get your ass whacked. There is no doubt about it. I think there's been like one quarterback to go through the full length of the schedule and make it out alive, and that was Cam Newton. And he's only the biggest human to ever play the position at an MVP level. That's it. So the only like equate version of that available in college football right now is KJ Jefferson. So you know what's hard to do? What's hard to do is have 12 carries a game at the quarterback position because most of those hits are big ones. They are hits that you are not accustomed to. They are hits with you going forward and the guy hitting you coming forward. Every other hit as a quarterback is just one of those directional hits. It's not both objects moving toward each other. We understand physics. One of those hurts worse than the others. Okay. So it's really hard to play in Gus Malzahn's system as a quarterback, and KJ Jefferson has the physicality and the physical traits to ultimately do so. Also, a way better fit for KJ than whatever the hell that excuse of an offense for him was last year at Arkansas. That was the worst display of I'm going to mold my offense to the skill sets of my operator that I've seen in a while. That was, I'm going to ask this dude to be a pro passer instead of making this pro offense a college offense. That's so ass backwards. That's such a bad example of coaching. That is such a way to get fired and have Rick Pitino replace you. Bobby Petrino. Rick Pitino was the other Louisville coach. I don't know why I get Louisville prostitutes, sleepy, just absolute nasty stuff, Louisville basketball. I don't know why I get that mixed up with neck brace, sleeping with your assistant on a motorcycle. Don't know why I get those two mixed up, but the debauchery sells, and both of them get me all discombobulated. So that's what I got on the KJ Jefferson stuff. Damani Jackson down to Michigan and Bama. I think those are two tremendous opportunities for a guy who needs to play 2 years and go to the NFL in him. And you need to go where you can immediately play. You don't have to worry about battles. If you come to Georgia and follow your position coach, Damani, which doesn't look like is an option, you're going to be battling. You're going to be battling a lot of NFL caliber football players. We already talked about the Evan Stewart stuff. Let's talk about this Lane Kiffin article. I think I screenshotted this article earlier today. So let's go find it. Maybe I did not. What? Yeah, I did. Right here. Let's read you these. Okay, so this comes from his press conference, I'm guessing, for the Peach Bowl. Quote, we're actually kind of finally to a normal part now where today's Tuesday and we actually play on Saturday. So it's a normal week for us. We're just in a hotel in a different city. Previous to this, it's been a little chaotic with not just recruiting and flying around trying to get back for practices. A lot of assistant coaches not at the practices, but then dealing with the portal, going to other universities to see kids and dealing with keeping our kids. Again, it's a terrible system. No other I wouldn't think of any other sports, professional sports, have ever set up a system where free agency starts while the season is still going. So it really makes no sense. You can leave, you can stay, you can go other places, coaches can call you, and our season is still going. It would be like before the NFC or AFC playoffs start in a couple of weeks, all of a sudden, hey, free agency the week before it opens. So you can start recruiting other people's players, fly them on trips, get them to transfer. So really, really in a bad system. The system isn't bad. The calendar is. I think the system without pay for play is the closest thing to avoid NCAA just getting thrown into court with lawsuits constantly. That's why the system is the way it is. With regards to player mobility, with regards to players being able to be paid, all that stuff is the setup the way it is right now so the NCAA can avoid revenue portion splits. That's the cold, hard facts of reality of where we are right now in college football. But with regards to the calendar, I'm with them. The calendar's screwed. Calendar's absolutely bonkers. The calendar sucks. Calendar's confusing. Calendar doesn't make any sense. So I hear a lot of these takes. Nobody really laying it out. Nobody really saying, hey, here's how you fix it. I think the fix is relatively simple. Right now, here's the current structure. We're in a 14 playoff structure under this current structure. You guys know this. December 2nd-ish, like 1st to 6th, is the conference championship weekend of college football, right? And then currently, we wait until January 1st before the semis start. So there's like this 29, 30, 31-day layoff of just nothingness with regards to actually getting a finality of the season, crowning a champion. We have nothing for a month. We have these bowl games that everybody tells me is meaningless. Okay, so that's the current schedule. And then, oh, by the way, in between that 31-day layoff is free agency. There's this national signing day where you put in ink the commitment class that you spent the last 3 years building. There's that. And then there's this free agency portion where you're evaluating every player that entered the portal, every potential player that will enter the portal, every player that you want to enter the portal to potentially poach. All that stuff happens in this like time window. And then you get to the finality. I don't know why I'm struggling with that word tonight. Finality of the season. So what the hell? How do we fix this? Well, here you go. I got one for you right here. December 2nd, conference championships. Stick it the same way. Don't have to worry about it. Then December 9th, okay? You can take December 9th off if you really wanted to. You can give everybody that's going to make a playoff a bye week. Just say, hey, go home. You're good. Okay. Give them a bye week. Let Army Navy have the weekend. Just, have our boy Gary go up there, call that game, support the troops. How about America? All that good stuff. Fly the red, white, and blue. Get Elon Musk, take a selfie with a horse. Do all the good stuff that comes with the Army-Navy game on December 9th. Let the conference champions lick their wounds. Let the guys who had the opportunity to lick their wounds while not playing for conference championship get on an even kill and have to take 2 weeks off now, while everybody who actually did gets to play up 4 or gets to take a week off and get healthy while enjoying you. Now, that's December 9th. December 16th, the next weekend, we're 2 weeks removed from conference championships and finalizing the top 12 going into the college football playoff. December 16th or around that time, middle of December, you should be playing the first round of college football playoff. That next week, the 23rd around Christmas time, you should be playing the round of 8. All right. And then on New Year's Eve or around New Year's Eve, around New Year's Day, you should be starting like you are now, your Final Four. And then about a week later, you should be playing your national title. All right. And you should be finalizing your season completely by January 10th. And then from January 10th to January 17th, you should be handling whatever transfer portals, whatever high school signing days, whatever. Give me a finality to the season. Okay. Don't wait around for all this bullshit. Don't give me 30 days of 15 practices. By the way, think about how goofy that is. All right. They're only allowed 15 practices, so we're told, and they have to spread that out over 32 days if you make the college football playoff. That's goofy. That makes no sense. How are you supposed to build consistency? Okay, squeeze it. Squeeze the schedule, get them in tighter, play them faster, get the season done, and then set off this absolute free agents frenzy. All right. And then not only that, guess what? Now coaches don't have to work well into February, all right, to finalize their roster. Now their roster's done mid-January. They get to take it off till March. They get to come back and holler at you during springtime. So not only do you put kind of like a bubble around your bowl games in terms of your roster just absolutely getting blown to smithereens like Florida State's is right now. You put a bubble around all that. You ensure yourself from that happening. But you also maybe extend the longevity of some of your college football, coaches, which is kind of important. Okay, because I think the sport is losing some good coaches due to this absolutely effed up schedule. All right. Should we pick these bowl games? Let's pick these bowl games. After I fixed all of the world's problems in college football. Shouts out. Oh, no. Before we do that, let's talk about other 2 random topics. Only reason I would ever live in a beach town. And, honestly, there's a lot of people watching tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review. And I honestly contemplated whether or not I was going to reveal this bit of information with you guys. But I tend to be extremely vulnerable on this platform, and I share all my deepest fears, and I bring them to you. And I'm very honest with you. And I don't even mind embarrassing myself a little bit. So I will tell you this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I mean this as much as I mean when I say I will outthrow Aaron Murray in a couple of days if he doesn't chicken out, which he's already laying the groundwork for, by the way. Bunch of, I got to see what the wife's schedule is in the text messages right now. It's not looking good. But nonetheless, I am very forthcoming and honest with you guys. The only reason I would ever move to a beach town, the sole reason, the one, because I hate the beach, I hate sand, I hate chafe, I hate salt, I hate all of it. I hate the smell, I hate the water, I hate everything about the beach. But I would move here for one reason. This is the only place in the world, beach towns are the only place in the world where rollerblading is allowed and not just absolutely cooked and flamed and made fun of. And as someone who really loves rollerblading, boy, I would eat up a 15-mile rollerblade tomorrow. Can you rent rollerblades in Miami? Because if so, I'm hitting South Beach on some inlines. You know what I mean? Just traditional inlines. Don't even need a stopper. We'll be good. So yeah, there's a little bit about me, or a big rollerblading guy. But here's the deal. I would never rollerblade. I would never be seen in any other town other than one I wasn't known in and wasn't a beach town on some goddamn rollerblades. But yeah, if I lived in Florida and nobody knew me, if I was in another life, you'd catch me out here in a G-string on some inlines. Boy, I'd be all about it. I'd have the neon headband. Shit, boy, what you talking about? So yeah, if I ever moved to Florida, y'all know why. I bought me some sick ass inline skates. That's funny, man. That's funny stuff. Let's do these bowl games right quick. I think Georgia beats Florida State 38-3 on Saturday. 38-3, cold hard stop. I haven't seen the score, but I think Louisville should beat the hell out of USC. Y'all don't tell me. Actually, I'm gonna look at it right now. Louisville should be beating the shit out of USC right now. They're not. USC's up 21-13. Miller Moss is him? Miller Moss is him? What? That's wild. All right. Shouts out the Trojans. All right. I got Arizona over Oklahoma in a nail biter. All right. So lock that one in. I got Clemson over Kentucky, and here's why. I like Cade Klubnik over whatever it is from Kentucky, whether it's Devin Leary or whoever else they can roll out there. I like that one. I think I shocked the chat with the inline skates take. Also can do the traditional skates. The four wheels. I'm on them too. Much smoother of a ride. That's more about rhythm. That's more about swag. That's more about cool. Inline is about speed. And not caring about what you look like at all. Not caring about what anybody thinks of you at all. If you out here with some inline skates. Yes, I got Clemson over Kentucky. What in the hell are you supposed to do with Oregon State and Notre Dame? And by the way, why is that line set at 6 points? And why is that line and that total team over set at 41.5? How in the hell are either of those teams going to score 41 points together? I don't know how that's supposed to happen. Oregon State is down to their third string quarterback, I believe. Third string quarterback and an interim head coach. Give me Notre Dame. They at least got a backup. All right, not the third string. They got the second stringer and a head coach. So I'm going to go with Oregon or with Notre Dame in that football game, and probably by a lot as the Zens fall out of the pocket. Mizzou versus Ohio State. This one, to me, I talked about it last night. This one to me is all about who cares more. I think Missouri is going to care a lot more in this football game. Somehow, some way, Iowa's going to outscore Tennessee. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to do it. Because I think again, like I talked about earlier, I think that zone defense is going to be a problem for a first-time starter. I got Oregon by 100 over Liberty. Going to absolutely skull drag those Flames. So yeah, there you go. Do we think transfers should be able to play at their newfound school in the bowl games? That's a great question, one that I'm not equipped to answer. I'm going to say no, because God forbid we can't just give them everything. Let's make them sit out something. Let's make them have to wait their turn. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. We went about an hour and a half. The notes were what the notes were. We tatted them pretty quickly. Appreciate you guys for being here. We will see you tomorrow night for our last show of the week, I believe. I think I'm going to take Friday off and be a human after I outthrow Murray. Murray, I'm dead serious, man. I'm so super serious. If you don't show up, I don't know, man. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Love you. Bye.